Okay, so we're looking at Unit 3.4, Math Makes Sense. So if you want to follow along in your textbook, or any extra explanation, go here. This is page 100. Whoops, that's my phone. Just a moment. Hey, stop calling. Go away. No. Okay. All right, so in the past, you probably recall using these things called flats and rods and cubes as representations of whole numbers. So I've got a giant one here, and cubes and the rods. They've drawn some pictures here, and nice color-coded ones, slightly separated so you can see them now. In the past, you need to recall that we used these probably in grade 4 or something like that to teach you how to multiply two whole numbers using base 10 blocks. And so this flat was representing 100 back then. And you can see 100 square units. It's a 10 by 10 area formula. It's base times height. So you get an area of 100. And this was used to teach multiplication by creating rectangles with them. Back then this would have been an area of 10 squares on it, and so forth. So here we have an example that has two flats, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 rods. And you can use an area model to figure this out, that this is a multiplication problem of 20 times 16. 20 times 16 because the base is 20, from here to there is 20. That's the base measurement. Area model is A equals BH, area equals base times height, and the height is 16. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so it's 20 times 16, and that's equal to the sum of all the areas, 100 plus 100 plus 60 plus another 60, or 320. Okay, but we can also use base 10 blocks to multiply two decimals. So let's change our thinking completely. Change. So this is no longer 100, but 1. Imagine you've just like zoomed in into it, and it's now worth just 1. Okay, and this is called a rod, and it's worth 1/10. And this is called a hundredth. Of course, because 100 of these would fit on a flat, this is just a hundredth. So now we have another way to represent multiplication of decimals. All right, so just to review here, we've got flat. So remember the terminology. Area is equal to 1. That means its base is 1, and its height is 1. Why? Because our area formula, A equals base times height. Don't forget, when the variables are close together like that, that means multiplication. So area is equal to base times height. B is 1, height is 1, area is 1. Remember we said that this area is 1, it's worth 1. So base is 1, its height is 1. So what's the base of this then? If the base of this is 1, what's the base of this rod? The base must be 1. It's the same as this base. Its height is not the same though. Its height is only 1/10 of this height. So if this height is 1, this height must be 0.1. And it's called a rod. Okay? So now we have our final little bit here, and this is called a cube. And the cube, if we know that this height is 0.1, it's the same length as this, the same dimension, isn't it? So this must be a base of 0.1, or 1/10, and this must be a height of 0.1, because it's the same as the base. So now we know our measurements, and we can use this, just as we're multiplying whole numbers together to get a product by adding up the sum of all the areas of the rods, flats, and cubes. We can do that with decimals as well. I'm going to put up my first problem here. If I have this rectangle, it has some dimensions here, a base and a height. We have the base is equal to 1 whole, because remember from our previous sheet, the base is equal to, probably should have done that differently. A base is equal to 1 whole, and it's got the base measurement of one of the hundredths is 0.1. It's 1/10 of that whole length. So the base is equal to 1.1. What's the height? Remember that each cube has a base and a height of 0.1, so our height is 0.2 because we've got two of them. So now we have a multiplication problem. The area is equal to the base times the height, so that means the area is equal to 1.1 times 0.2. So when we multiply those together, all we're doing is taking the sum of these different parts. I'll separate them a little bit so you can see them. Recall that the rod is worth 1/10, 0.1, and the cube is worth 100, 0.01. So really we have 1/10, 2/10, I'll write it all down, 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 100 plus another 100. And we get a total of 0.22. Now let's check that. Does that make sense? It seems very strange. Why is it that I multiplied 1.1 times 0.2 and I got a number smaller than 1.1? That's because this is being multiplied by something that's actually shortening it. If I were multiplying by 1, it would be tall. It would be a whole height up here. But I'm actually only taking 2/10 of the total by multiplying by a height that's less than 1. So there we go. Our product 1.1 times 0.2 is equal to 0.22. All right. That's our first tutorial. I'm going to continue on in part 2 in just a moment. If I can figure out how to stop this.